Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining us today because, wow, we are looking at a truly monumental development in the pharmaceutical world. We're talking about Dr. Reddy's Laboratories and their freshly minted US FDA approval for a highly anticipated Rituximab Biosimilar. Now, on the surface, a drug approval might just sound like standard, everyday industry news, but as we're going to uncover today, this specific medical milestone carries immense, and I mean immense, financial weight for the company. So, let's dive right into this and see exactly what's on the line.
Okay, here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to start with this game-changing FDA approval, then we'll jump into the actual science of rituximab. After that, we'll clear up the legal roadblocks, break down the intense financial stakes, and finally, look at the road ahead. Let's get to it.
Section 1. A game-changing FDA approval.
So getting a major drug like this to patients in the US requires a pretty clear division of labor. It's essentially a tag team effort. Dr. Reddy's is the absolute powerhouse behind the complex science here. They handle the development, the highly specialized manufacturing, and the grueling FDA submission process. On the flip side, you have Fresenius Kabi, who holds the exclusive rights to actually commercialize and market the product in the US. It's a really smart, strategic partnership designed to play to the absolute strengths of both organizations.
Moving right along to Section 2, the science of rituximab. Now, to really appreciate the business side of things, we first need to bust through a little bit of medical jargon. Rituximab is what's known as a monoclonal antibody. Essentially, these are lab-created molecules, right? They're engineered to serve as substitute antibodies that can restore, enhance, modify, or even mimic the immune system's attack on bad cells. Specifically, this drug targets the CD20 antigen. Think of it like a highly specific protein marker which is expressed on the surface of B lymphocytes, or B-cells. By targeting this exact marker, the drug acts like a homing beacon to effectively pinpoint and bind to these specific cells.
So why does that specific targeting mechanism actually matter? Well, by zeroing in on those B cells, rituximab is used for the treatment of really severe B-cell malignancies. We're talking about blood cancers like non-Hodgkin lymphoma and chronic lymphocytic leukemia, as well as certain debilitating autoimmune conditions. And the absolute biggest takeaway for Dr. Reddy's new product here is that it is highly similar to the reference product. There are literally no clinically meaningful differences in safety or potency. Patients are getting the exact same vital targeted therapy. And while securing that US FDA approval is today's massive headline, Dr. Reddy's rituximab is actually already an established global player. This biosimilar has already been commercialized in more than 28 markets around the world. It's successfully being used in India, and it's already navigated the super stringent marketing approval processes in countries like Switzerland and Canada. So the science is proven. The next big hurdle was just breaking into the US market.
Which brings us to Section 3, clearing legal roadblocks. As you probably guessed, getting FDA approval is rarely a straight line, and Dr. Reddy's had to overcome some seriously dramatic legal hurdles to get here. Back in 2023, their US ambitions hit a massive brick wall when the drug's original innovator, the Swiss giant Roche, sued them for alleged patent infringement. And lawsuits like this, they can tie up a drug for years. But by April 2024, they actually managed to resolve the dispute through a settlement agreement. That cleared the pathway, culminating in this huge victory, officially securing FDA approval in August 2026.
But here's the catch. Dr. Reddy's isn't exactly stepping into an empty arena here. They're entering a fiercely competitive space, where rivals like Celltrion and Sandoz have already launched their own biosimilar versions of this exact same therapy. How'd they do it? Well, they ran the exact same playbook. They navigated the legal system and reached their own settlement agreements with Roche. So because Dr. Reddy's is a bit later to the US party, Fresenius Kabi is going to have their work cut out for them when it comes to clawing away market share from these established competitors.
Let's look at Section 4, the financial stakes.
So why does Dr. Reddy's desperately need this specific FDA approval right this second? Well, the urgency comes down to a single staggering number, 35%. Dr. Reddy's saw their US sales decline by a massive 35% year over year in their last reported quarter. The company is basically bleeding in the US market right now. And it's due to continued pricing erosion in the traditional generic space, combined with a total absence of financial contributions from the drug lenalidomide. They are in desperate need of new, high-value product launches just to plug this 35% hole and revive their growth in the US.
And the pain hasn't just been on the sales sheet either. It has heavily impacted their overall valuation. I mean, nearly $600 million was recently completely wiped out from the company's market cap. This massive loss was triggered by disruptions in the supply of semaglutide in India and Canada, which stemmed from issues with API impurities. And the market reaction? It has been brutal. To put that into perspective for you, the stock plunged 15% last month alone, and it currently sits down 8% for the year. The pressure from investors right now is just immense.
Their recent financial plunge has been incredibly severe. Just look at their Q1 FY27 results. Operating revenue saw a painful decline of 5.6% year-over-year, dropping to 8,070 crore rupees. But the truly devastating blow is their net profit. It didn't just decline, it absolutely fell off a cliff, plunging a staggering 69% down to just 443 crore rupees. I mean, think about it. When your net profit evaporates by nearly 70%, every single new product approval, especially a high-value biologic for the US market, becomes an absolute lifeline.
Finally, Section 5, the road ahead. Let's look at this really powerful quote from Sridevi Kambampati. She's the global head of Biologics at Dr. Reddy's, and this really bridges the gap between today's FDA win and the company's broader long-term ambitions. She says that hitting this FDA goal date reflects our capabilities in developing and manufacturing complex biologic medicines. That phrase right there, that is the key. They're signaling a very deliberate strategic shift. They are moving away from the hyper-competitive race-to-the-bottom pricing of simple generics, and they're pivoting hard toward the complex, high-barrier-to-entry world of biologics.
To actually execute this strategy, Dr. Reddy's is banking heavily on a very robust upcoming product pipeline to save the day. Currently, they boast 6 commercial biosimilar products marketed across 30 different countries. But look at what's coming down the pipeline. They're actively developing a biosimilar version of Keytruda, which, by the way, happens to be the world's top-selling cancer drug, in a major partnership with Alvotech. Furthermore, investors are waiting with bated breath for an FDA decision in Q4 on their Abicept biosimilar. Management heavily expects this specific launch to emerge as a highly meaningful revenue driver to help finally turn the ship around.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. Dr. Reddy's is leaning entirely on this strategy, but looking at the macro industry landscape, are complex biosimilars actually the ultimate cure for the generic market's brutal pricing erosion? Will entering this high-stakes biologic arena be enough to offset the massive profit bleeding from traditional generics, or is the intense competition in the biosimilar space eventually going to lead to the exact same pricing wars? It is a fascinating question for the future of pharma, for sure. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will see you in the next explainer.